That's what.
you know.
All right, good evening. We'll go ahead and call the October 9th Lakeshore Hospital Authority Board of Trustee meeting to order. Is there any staff or trustee addition or deletion to the agenda and or consent agenda?
Staff has no additions or deletions, Mr. Chairman.
Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion, a second. All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Public comments tonight?
Please say something.
Ms. Lindley?
Yes, I hope this is the final, if not the next to the final meeting with Meridian on giving them the building. And I do hope that you board members will not facilitate EMS PALs having any funding, which the board attorney realizes and knows that it's not possible to give money to a private for-profit entity. And why is the board not giving the records building to the county? Why lease it for $10 a year? Just give it to them. And those are my comments.
Thank you, Ms. Lindley. Not seeing any others. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion, a second. All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
And opposed, like sign. That motion carries. New business, organizational meeting, election of officers.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we appoint, assign Mr. Brandon Bill to be the chair for 23-24 fiscal year. Seeing I can't move all three, I was told by Mr. Coberline last year I couldn't make all three elections. I had to do them individually, so that's my motion.
Is there, before we move forward with that, is there anybody else that would be interested in being the chair? I was gonna make
I'll be
a
here all the time.
statement about Mr. Kennedy.
It's a good way to get me done.
We get a motion.
Lori, any interest?
Nope. I'm the secretary.
Yeah. I mean, I can't motion for myself, right?
No, but if you're willing to do it, I'll ask Mr. Kennedy to.
We don't have a second yet.
I only do it in a second because I know he wants a break. I don't mind. I don't mind sticking around for another one. If you want me to go through it, I can go through it.
I'll withdraw my motion there. I'll make a motion that Mr. Stephen Douglas be the chair for the 23-24 calendar year.
Motion,
Second.
have a second. All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, that motion carries.
Oh, gosh.
Vice
Stuck
Chair.
with me there.
And I'd like to make a motion that Mr. Brandon Beal be the vice chair.
Ms. Lori, do you have any interest in being the vice chair?
But
All right,
We got
wait,
a
I'm
second.
sorry, repeat.
I
the
made a
motion.
motion that Mr. Brandon Beal be the vice chair for the 23-24 fiscal year, and it was seconded by Mrs. Chauncey.
No further comments, Your Honor.
got a motion and a second. All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that motion carries. You're on the roll, Secretary
Right.
Treasurer.
I'd like to make a motion that Ms. Lori Chauncey be the secretary treasurer for the 23-24 fiscal year.
Second.
Lori, you good with that? We got a motion and a second, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, that motion carries. Oh, Mr. Douglas up here now. All right, Mr. Douglas, please come.
You want me to share the thing
Plant
now?
your seeds.
Okay.
We didn't tell you that.
You're gonna have to hold my hand.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Mr. Douglas.
Yeah,
Thanks. Thank you so much.
congratulations.
Oh, I can't thank you enough. Here.
How much more a month to get paid?
Yeah, I know. It's the pay increase. Again, I can't thank you enough.
Well, Stephen, you said it was okay.
I know, but it's heavy lies the ground, yeah.
Now you can add that to your resume.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I was hoping for.
And also note on the resume that the meeting started 5:15.
I will, can
Yeah,
I bring up a new order of business to push these back 5 minutes? So I have a chance to get here from O'Brien. So I'm sorry. Correction the law. Okay, so we're just moving down to the new, next item in the new business?
Yep.
All right. Approved Board of Trustees calendar year 2024 meeting schedule.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, your annual meeting calendar is published in advance. So we run a legal ad, we state all the meetings. You'll notice in 2024, there's going to be a conflict in the November meeting because of Veterans Day. Way too far in advance, we thought to go ahead and pick an alternate date, so we're acknowledging there will be a conflict, but before November of 24, the November 24th meeting, and people know more about their individual calendars, we'll pick an alternate date for that conflict. So I just want to mention it. We did acknowledge, we are aware of it, but it's just too far out to try to pick an alternate date. So having said that, we would request that you approve the second Monday of each month at 5:15 PM as your board meeting date and time.
Chair, I'd make a motion to approve the Board of Trustees calendar year 2024 meeting schedule.
Second,
Okay, you have a motion and a second.
Mr. Chair, comments?
Yes, sir.
Please, Mr. Williams, under the special meetings may be called as necessary and will be noticed accordingly. What is the rule on that? How much time do we need on that?
Well, if it's just a general special meeting, we have to publish 10 days prior to the meeting. If it is because of an emergency, obviously the emergency dictates the time frame. But what we're mainly referring to there are budget meetings.
But as far as other meetings that are needed, just like we're,
Working on now, which we'll
Working
be
on now.
discussing,
yeah,
yeah,
10 days.
10 days.
So like if there is a fifth Monday of the month, which I noticed January has one, can it be set by staff before the regular monthly meeting, or do we have to wait till we have the monthly meeting to set it? By that, I mean, on the January 8th meeting, I noticed we have one. Can we go ahead and request the one now, seeing there are 5 Mondays in January, and if we don't need it, we don't have it?
We can do that. We can always schedule and then cancel.
And I didn't mean to interrupt you. I think the only reason why I asked that question is because, as you know, we are now on a short leash with the budget for the hospital administration, and we may need to look at that where we're going.
Understood. The only thing that's a little bit difficult for staff on any special meeting is we are required to state the business and prepare an agenda for that. So,
Within 10 days.
yeah, so sometimes, you know, when you just do one in general and people want to add business to it, we cannot do that.
Okay.
So, but we can definitely call them in advance, and we can definitely cancel them if not needed, as long as we know what we're going to be discussing.
I don't think, Mr. Chairman, I don't think we need one between now and December 31st, but I would like to see us add that 5th Monday in January just in case. Because we're already into this year's fiscal budget. And October, November, December is about what funds we have appropriated for the hospital.
Yeah.
Unless Mr. Williams can talk me out of it.
Well, actually, Mr. Kennedy, I think we're going to ask y'all to establish a special meeting in November.
Okay.
Based on conversation that Todd and I had earlier today. So
Okay.
we'll discuss that when we get to the Meridian discussion.
Okay. All right. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Any other comments? So, do we have a motion? We have a motion to approve the Board of Trustees calendar.
Well, just second, do we want to set a second meeting for budget? In
We might.
September?
Well, we pretty much have to wait on the other taxing authorities because there's a statutory requirement as to who picks what day first.
Oh,
And we
okay.
can't be in conflict.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
You're a second?
I'll second.
Second. Okay, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So on to the, let's see, new business, acknowledge the receipt of Lake Shore Hospital Authority annual financial report.
Mr. Chairman, all the trustees have a copy of the annual financial report for the period ending September 30th of 2022 at your desk. All you're doing is acknowledging receipt of this. You're not acknowledging that you agree with it. But we do need to acknowledge for the purpose of the minutes that it was received. I can tell you that I've already had a chance to look at it pretty closely. I think you'll find it to be a fairly clean audit with no issues, no findings. But nonetheless, if you should have any questions about it, I'll be more than glad to answer them, or I will be more than glad to have the auditors come and answer any questions. But we do need to acknowledge receipt of it for the purpose of our minutes.
What?
Motion to acknowledge receipt of.
Chair, I'd like to make a motion to acknowledge the receipt of the Lakeshore Hospital Authority Annual Financial Report for the fiscal year ending 9/30/2022.
I will second.
The motion is second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Right, discussion of possible action. Mr. Kennan, the contract with the MPALs.
Yes, we haven't heard from them month of September or October, so. The ball was in their court end of August and haven't heard a word from their attorney.
Mr. Kennedy, do you think, does that tell you that they're no longer interested in this arrangement?
I would. Rather than take any action, I'd give it another month, and if we don't hear of anything, then it pretty much speaks for itself. If we can take it off the agenda and move on until we do receive something.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
To follow up on Mr. Brandon's Bill's question on that, Mr. Keenan, what other option, or Mr. Williams, I guess I should ask that, what other options do we have at this point with those building, I should say?
Well, there are a number of things which have been discussed, and there's a number of people that I have spoke to, but of course, until Meridian and MPALs, which had already started, are decided, I really can't, because I don't know that the space will be there until that's completed. But just to give you some ideas, we've talked to pharmacies, we've talked to kidney dialysis. Got a contact today for a nursing home, smaller nursing home type facility. So there are other persons who are interested, but you know, until the buildings become available, there's not much I can do up to a point.
The trustees could give a deadline that I could convey to their
Sure.
attorney and. Past that we would cease all further negotiations if we haven't heard.
Chair, I would like to recommend, I don't know, maybe in the form of a motion that we ask Mr. Kennan to communicate with EM Pals and let them know that we need some sort of hard answer by October 31st.
I noticed
Well, I'm sorry, we have another meeting on the 30th, don't we?
Or the next meeting. So
Yeah.
what's the-
Say by the 29th or that Friday proceeding,
or the 27th, I'm looking at my calendar is on a Friday,
27th. That would be my motion.
which gives exactly 26 days. Or excuse me, 19 days like. I didn't go to Columbia High. Only down in Central. But whatever,
Secretary.
2 weeks, give them 2 weeks, right?
What's your date?
The 27th, the last Friday in October.
Mr. Chairman,
I'll
may I
second that.
comment?
Yeah,
Trustees, at your last meeting, you did discuss the meeting in late October that you wanted us to set up. We understand that Meridian's board will not be meeting until November.
November 7th.
So we were going to ask you tonight in the discussion with Meridian, if you would like to strike the meeting in October and move it until shortly after Meridian's meeting on November 7th.
That would be my recommendation, because we won't have anything to discuss until they meet. The ball's in their court on.
But then do we
On
have
them,
to
on
really-
them.
But we could still keep the deadline and
Okay.
have that for if we meet earlier in November. We can go ahead and address that too.
And I think I follow what you're saying. In other words, their quarterly meeting, from what Mr. Savoy said 2 weeks ago, was going to be on November the 7th.
I believe that's correct. Yeah.
Yes, and Mr. Kennan, are you saying that they will come back with a final yay or nay on your proposal here, which I haven't even looked at?
That is what I'm hopeful. I mean,
Okay,
I think it was conveyed to them that we're looking for them at that November meeting to give us an answer. We were instructed to get our final version and revisions to the agreement within 30 days. We met that, so the ball's in their court.
okay,
But I don't think that would affect the current motion on the table. We just address it at whatever the next meeting is subsequent to October 27th.
that means the 13th of November is the next logical spot. It's the Monday after the 7th. Very much not Thanksgiving.
Isn't that our,
Is that the second Monday? I don't have.
That's
my-
our-
that's our meeting
that's our
date, yes.
regular meeting date?
It's true, so might not need a special meeting.
Might not
if you
need
just want it.
At all.
Yeah.
So can I ask what so if they approve what's proposed and then we come back and approve it as well, do we have to wait until their next quarterly meeting to?
That's what I'm,
Well, no, at that point, we would, the two things that would be left. And we don't need to deal with them until their board deals with the meat and potatoes. It would be the final determination of lots and personal property. So rather than spend the time and money worrying about that, we were gonna give them, if they approve it, you've got an opportunity to review. We can approve at our November meeting, and then those two issues should fall into place pretty quickly.
Okay.
So the motion on the floor is a deadline to EM Pals for October 27, 2023.
thank you.
You're welcome.
And I think it was 7.
Did
So
we get-
motion, it's a
Right?
motion and a second for EM Pals.
Yes.
Deadline.
You got the second?
Yes.
Okay, who's the second?
Lori, okay.
Okay,
We have a motion and a second to issue a deadline to EM Pals to make a decision on that offer. So all those in favor?
All
All
right,
right,
Okay. Do we need to address the meeting date or is the meeting date now null and void? I just want to make sure.
I just wanted to ask if. I haven't had a chance to go through this either. So if any of the trustees go through this and see any issues.
Call me and we'll have time before their meeting to make
Okay.
any adjustments or further recommendations.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
So I would think then we wouldn't need to, we didn't set, according to our reading of the minutes, we didn't absolutely set the October 30th meeting, so wouldn't need any further discussion on that. We're set for our next regularly scheduled meeting. And then the update on that item is Bruce and I got them all of our revisions. We had a Zoom conference last week. And there were very few. The major one was the removal of paragraph 8, which was the continued financial assistance in maintaining the hospital. The rest of it were minor tweaks. We had worked out pretty much everything else prior to that last Zoom meeting. So you have what we're comfortable with from the legal standpoint.
We're discussing this now, correct?
Correct.
Yes, I was gonna say, it felt like we moved forward in the discussion.
Mr. Kennan, as far as the issue regarding the reverter. Is there any news on that?
They were told to discuss that with Mr. Savoy. I told them our inclination probably was if they wanted the lot that we believe is encumbered by the reverter, then we'll be glad to give it to them. They can deal with it.
Okay,
They could decide whether to deal with the Masons directly as far as a purchase of the reverter clause or whatever their legal department told them was best.
So at our last meeting, somebody from the Masons said they wanted it back if it was not going to be a municipal hospital, if I remember correctly.
And that would be whether Meridian wants to undertake that legal analysis or not. I mean, we can convey it to them. We just convey it to them with a reverter.
With encumbrance or what.
Yeah.
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 So they pick up all.
Quick claim
liability.
deed added, and then you'll see this agreement that the properties included in here are going to be as is.
I guess I'm not understanding. How can we convey that to them if there's a reverter clause?
It's still ours, subject to the reverter clause. So until there's a determination that the reverter clause is applicable or viable, then we can convey it to whoever we want. They just get it with the reverter clause. So I think the best analogy is a mortgage. If we had a mortgage on the lot, we could convey it to whoever and it's subject to the mortgage, and the rights of the mortgage holder are maintained.
Okay.
And if I'm not mistaken, my interpretation of it was. If we tried to dive into that, I don't believe that we can solve it before they meet by November 7th, so it's best to just say. We'll give it to you. If they choose to pick it up, great. If not, they may hand it back to us and then we would deal with it. But I guess the quickest method is to convey it encumbered.
And they are fully aware of the wording of the reverter clause. Their attorneys are, so there's no surprises there on either side.
Okay.
There's no possible action that we need to take for that, right?
That would be our recommendation.
Any further comments before I move on? Just making sure, okay. Discussion and possible action of the transportation expense reimbursement for primary care doctor. Visits and transportation costs, 2 testing, imaging appointments.
Mr. Chairman, this was an item that trustee Bill asked me to place on the agenda. Obviously, it's new for all of us. In discussions, I was asked to do some research to determine what, if at all, we could do in order to assist people who meet certain requirements to have transportation to their medical visits, so on and so forth. We started the process, but obviously we're not complete with it. former Chairman Bill, now trustee Bill, is sort of working to assist me in this regard. But we did want all of the trustees to know that we were working on looking at how this might look if it was possible, how it might work if it was something you decided you want to do. The one thing I can tell you, and I think anybody on the Lakeshore Hospital Authority staff knows, is transportation is a big issue. We're often asked about it, various reasons. A lot of moving parts here, a lot of things we may can do, a lot of things we probably don't want to do. Really don't have an idea as to how this would work yet or what the cost would be, but we are doing the exploration to find out. So if you have any questions or concerns, you have anything you'd like to add, please get with me. I'd love to hear it. And we'll continue to do some research on it and come back to you with something at least we can start a discussion with. Brandon?
Chair.
Yes, sir.
As our executive director stated, I'd heard from all of the staff members that some of the things that our clients, some of the challenges they face are getting to the appointments, and that may be part of the reason they're not coming back to requalify to maintain, to stay on the program. So kind of my idea is, my first thought was Swanee Valley Transit, but Mr. Williams has kind of reached out a little bit, and some of that may be limited because they have certain routes that they run already. But there are non-emergency medical transport companies all over Columbia County. I don't, just kind of spitballing. Of course, Mr. Williams is working on the details and he might tell me to rein it in some, but if we have a list of providers that we've contracted with, and we say, look, you're authorized, we'll pay for you to take our existing patients from their home, their residence, to their doctor's appointment, the primary care doctor's appointment, any kind of, the lab work they need to get done, any procedures they need to get done. Because transportation is indeed, we're talking about indigent care. There's people that can't afford the care, so transportation is an issue. So that's kind of the idea behind this. And I think that it would fall within our rights to pay for transportation to medical appointments.
Fair enough. And Dale, you're going down the rabbit hole?
Yeah, it's just new to me too.
Yeah.
And I have not yet really found a program that you could sort of look at and plagiarize from.
Yeah.
As I said, we've already uncovered a lot of moving parts, but it doesn't hurt one bit to collect this information and look at it and see if there's a program there that we can or we should do. So we've started the process.
Going along with that, also look into labs that have people that will come to a house and do collect for lab tests.
Good point.
Okay. There are some labs, and I've been out of it for a while, so I don't know which ones now. But there are some labs that have people, nurses or technicians, that will go to a person's home and collect lab work, anything else that's needed. And and what you're talking about are services that are very well needed.
I think for so long we've maintained the status quo. Maybe it's time to look outside, start thinking outside the box on how we can.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Excellent point. There are lab services. I know firsthand myself. I have to get blood drawn every 90 days from that melanoma that was taken on the back of my arm. And the first time I met the young lady at the McDonald's down in Alachua. And just last week I met her out here because she's a student from Gainesville. I met her out here at the parking lot at the hospital and she drew 4 vials of blood. So yeah. I'm all, and then Mr. Williams, there's 4 or 5 different transport companies. I didn't mean to go into that long little.
No,
discussion,
no.
But anyway,
It's lightning.
there's 4 or 5 different transportation. I see them all the time in the vans driving around, so.
I gotta ask, what's preferable, the parking lot or McDonald's?
McDonald's, right?
Well, it didn't matter. I just was trying to accommodate it to get it
I
done,
understand.
ship it out to California.
If you had to
was
fast, then
overnight.
McDonald's would be.
The place to go, right?
Yeah.
You can come in fast and get
I
your
was
work.
afraid a security guard would see me at the hospital, and I was just gonna say I'm shooting up. But
Sure you are.
Understood.
At McDonald's, you get a treat if you're a good boy. You don't cry.
I knew I shouldn't have gone into that.
On behalf of the board, thank you for sharing. that. Any unfinished business? Okay. Go slowly with me, y'all. I know the staff report is here in our packets. Any board member comments? Chance.
The only comment I have is I think it's an excellent idea to investigate that stuff. And well, I've got 2 comments.
Go for
And
it.
number 2, we have to work on increasing the number of patients that we're helping, the number of people that we're helping.
Yes,
Okay, we've had all these other issues that we're dealing with. And I understand that's where our concentration was. But I think it's about time we reverse that and put our concentration on the people of Columbia County that are in need and that we can help.
Well put. Mr. Kennedy?
you heard mine.
So. Ms. Chancey, next time, look at that gentleman out there and let him know that it'd be a great story if he wrote about the fact that, hey, the Lakeshore Hospital Authority is investigating ways to provide transportation, and that may very well help get us some more clients in. You know, I think that's the other thing that we've lacked over the years is telling the story about what we do. Well, if people don't know about us, how are they supposed to get those services? So
That's true.
and also to piggyback on your second point, I had a discussion with Mr. Williams. You know, I don't know what, I guess it wouldn't even matter what happens with EM Pals. We've got Dr. Reyes's office. You know, made the comment at the last meeting that if we get this building gone and we're done with it, give it a Meridian, then we can focus on maybe it's building a new facility. Maybe we use Dr. Reyes's office and have some sort of a clinic, you know, that works its way into a standalone ER or other services. But Ms. Cynthia, I hate to put you on the spot. If you had to guess, what mile radius would you say most of our clients are from this location?
5 to 10 miles for some. In this area, some of them in walking distance, 5, 6 blocks, the most.
So,
And when we had Dr. Reyes' office, he had the most clients. But once that went away, it was walking distance, bicycle distance that they could actually come. And now going way out on 90, I go out on 90 to see Dr. Ukikbu, and I hate going way out 90. These people do not have transportation. Then they said someone will charge them $10 to $15 that they don't even have, that they could borrow from somebody. So if we had a clinic right back here in this area again, that we could pay a nurse practitioner or somebody, I believe we could pick up clients. I've gone to health fairs. I'm going to one this Saturday from 8:30 to 2 o'clock, take applications. Everybody walk by my table. I tell them about it, but it's the same older people that will come to these health events that don't need our services. So I say, take an application to a family member. Haven't gotten one person out of all the years I've been going. But I still go because that's just part of my job. So I like that idea, Brandon, if we could get somebody in the old Reyes office. Maybe I could, oh, nothing, I cut this comment out.
I agree with you, Ms. Chancey. I think that's where our focus, hopefully we can shift our focus there next month.
And if we can help Cynthia hand out these applications, you know. And I know I've been remiss in that, and so I had just gotten some from Cynthia and handed those out this week. You know,
And another comment on that, Sonia called, I think almost every church one time, telling them about our services, and not one congregation really interested. And that's when you reach out and meet your clients in your churches, when you spread the news. Nobody was really interested.
people are afraid of government sources.
And then we put out signs around places. And a lot of people now getting Florida blue, they're telling lies, they're saying they have income, that's how you have to have some sort of income to get on Florida blue. They're not telling the truth, so they're getting on Florida blue, but they'll pay the price eventually, not telling the truth.
Well, I'm with you. I think the EM house had a good concept,
Yeah,
you know. You hate to say we'll borrow it, but maybe we do.
Yeah.
What do you do?
I'm good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Y'all help me with the German. Does that mean we can adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
we finished by 6 o'clock.
Well, I like to move